Biddle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. 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 Biddle-doo-doo-doo-doo. Biddle-bum-bum-bum-bum. Biddle-bum-bum-bum-bum. Biddle-doo-boo-boo-doo. Biddle-boo-boo-boo-doo. Biddle-boo-boo-boo-doo. Boop 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 biddle boop. Boop 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 biddle doop boop 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 boop. Biddle boop boop boop. Biddle boop 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 boop. Doodle doo biddle doo biddle doo diddle doo. Biddle boop 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 doo biddle boop 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 doo diddle doo 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 doo. And I don't know if anybody's watching the show. We'll find out. We're gonna find out if anybody's even watching the show. Okay. Current viewers, 1. What's up, everybody? It's a happy Monday to everybody out there. If you're not having a happy Monday, I hope you could turn it around somehow. We'll see what happens as time goes on. You know, there's a little bit left in the day unless you are in Italy, because it has just turned midnight. And you're all moving into Tuesday already. Congratulations, moving on into Tuesday. I appreciate you. From the chat here real quick, we've got Crash asked about the Albida, Cryptocrine albida. I have not located any yet. Trying to find some. I had some a long time ago. Still have not been able to locate some of that, but that's okay because I got a bunch of other plants coming up pretty soon for you guys. So no worries on the Cryptocrine albida. I think I've located somebody that's carrying it, but we'll find it at some point. All right, getting going on the show here. Let's get going on the show. It's Monday. Let's do the weather update real quick here at the beginning and just bore people's socks off. 68 degrees and sunny here in lovely Western Washington. It might be a little bit warmer than that. It might be a little bit cooler than that. I don't know. It's beautiful. As a quick update, I don't know what's going on with the weather around here. It was 90 degrees plus for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I don't know. I just wasn't prepared for it. And I think it rotted my mind. I think it was taking me down. It's too hot out all of a sudden. You know how it is. And we didn't have a Friday show. That wasn't the reasoning, but the reasoning actually is, let me get this little arrow here. We didn't have a Friday show because of that little peanut up there in the corner. Mad shout out to the peanut and yellow arrows. As we know around here, we like to go a little crazy with the arrows, you know. We didn't have a show on Friday because we had our little lovely daughter there, Olivia. We had to go get her physical. She was up due for her just a regular physical checkup and did her shots and stuff. And we are, as you guys know, we have a sitter while I'm here doing work. If I'm doing the show or something like that, we have a sitter, and unfortunately, our sitter who normally comes on Friday had a gigantic loss in her family. You know, you guys don't know who she is or anything like that, but you know, her father and her uncle passed away in the same day. They both 100%, two separate accidents, basically. So, real tragedy. So we didn't have a sitter. You know, so we had to take care of the baby, plus she had her shots, and there was just really, you know, no real way to be doing the show on Friday. So I released a tour video, which I was kind of premature. I didn't really want to release it yet, but hopefully y'all liked it. You guys know I try not to leave you guys in the lurch. If I'm not doing a live show, I normally try to upload at least a video just so you guys have, you know, some fish stuff, you know, some kind of fish stuff and that kind of nonsense, you know, so you'll be able to check things out. Somebody, oh, you got your comment deleted. Alexandra Tremonti was asking if I smoke marijuana. No, I do not. Absolutely not. Have I? Yes, I have in the past, but as the show is titled today, I don't know, how did I title it? Yeah, 5 years sober and what aquariums means to me, or what aquariums means to me. There we go. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's weird if I'm saying it, but it would make sense if you were reading it, right? So, you know, this is a pretty big topic, but I want to, you know, I think we're gonna hammer through it here at the beginning because there's one thing that I want to focus on today, and that is my gratitude. And, you know, this has kind of been a long road. You know, I've been on YouTube for like 10 years now or something like that. Maybe even longer. I don't know. I've been sober for 5 years doing YouTube, so I've been here at least 5 years, right? But I want to express my gratitude to all the people on Patreon who have gone out of their way, out of their pockets to support the show. Thank you very much. The membership thing is new, right? I want to say thanks to everybody who's become a member. I want to say thanks to everybody who is so graciously super chats, all of that kind of stuff. It does cost quite a bit of money to just do the production. At the level that I'm at right now, it still costs money, you know? It just really does. Between internet, fixing computers, hard drives, cameras, SD cards, going places, all that kind of stuff, it does take quite a bit. And thanks to you guys, I think it's getting better and better. I recently got a comment from somebody that, you know, some of my older videos, my really old stuff, like popped up on their feed automatically, and they were like, "Man, this old crap is unwatchable." And you know, I have to agree. I have to 100% agree that a lot of my old stuff is just, it's unwatchable. I'm like, oh man, that's the worst thing. And, you know, I almost even feel like, you know, and it's just a feeling. It's not necessarily correct or not. It's just a feeling that a lot of the stuff I make now is almost unwatchable. But we are slowly but surely making progress. And the reason that parallels is that, you know, 5 years sober, I didn't think I would ever get to this point. I didn't think I would ever get to anything that would be, you know, I'd be able to measure it, you know what I mean? And be like, oh, that's something that, you know, I never thought it was something that could be, you know. Obviously I'm at 5 years, you know, people like Revo that are at 30 years and plus and stuff like that, which is awesome. You know, they always mention there's a whole lot more to go, and I have to agree with that. You know, but I never thought I would ever even get to the point where I'd be at 5 years or something like that. It never even occurred to me that there would be a different direction that I could go. And you know, it's just, I think that's just human nature. You think that something's never going to change, something's never going to be any different or anything like that. And I guess to tie that thought together would be, you know, looking at my old videos, looking at things that were going on and stuff, and just how awful that kind of stuff is. I realized that, like, wow, just even after 5 years, we're slowly but surely making these little progress steps towards hopefully bringing you guys content, hopefully bringing you guys help. You know, that's the main function that I like to be able to do here, is, you know, be able to help with things. Obviously, we talk about other stuff because it's a long format show, so, you know, if I'm on here for 2 hours, it's a little bit difficult to only talk about fish tanks. And obviously I do a show generally 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that obviously means that because there's a lot of shows, I don't necessarily talk 100% about fish all of the time. But, you know, we try to keep it topical and stuff like that. And just as a reminder to anybody out there that all this kind of stuff just takes these little, you know, it's these little incremental steps. Something that I constantly have to remind myself is that, you know, today is the day that I have to take care of. So if I'm doing a good job today, they'll slowly but surely start to add up. And eventually you get to a point where it's like, wow, this is just, it's just kind of life, you know what I mean? And life just incrementally gets a little bit better. It's, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, because I have honest thoughts in my head where I look at the stuff that I make and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, it's just not that good. I put it in comparison to certain things like Grand Designs, the show on Netflix. I really love watching that show. It's fantastically produced. It's really well written, all that kind of stuff. You know, but then, you know, you start to look into it and you start to realize that, like, you know, they have a really big budget. They have like 30 people working on the show. They've got editors. They've got salespeople. They have all these team and stuff like that. And I do realize that I'm not necessarily on the fast track, which a lot of other people have been on the fast track and whatnot. But I am hugely grateful for the position that I'm in at this point, that we're just going to keep trying to get better and better and better. And I just hope 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'll at least be able to look back and go like, wow, you could really see progress. You could really see things happening. And hopefully, you know, we get to a point where it's like, man, I'm really producing something that I'm super proud of, and it really does help people out. So today, you know, like RKL Aquatics right there says, I wish I thought of tanks and fish when I quit. You know, that's the thing, is that I got back into doing fish tanks probably, I want to say it was about 15 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. I started getting back into it because I had gotten injured on the job kind of situation and couldn't work for a little while. So I was actually home, and I needed something to do in the meantime. And I recently got an email, which I am going to email back. It's from Robert the Butcher, if you guys have seen him in the chat every once in a while. And it did remind me that there was a certain point in time where, like, I wasn't physically able to do a lot of stuff. I've been through a few trials and tribulations, you guys. And, you know, that's kind of when I got back into it, and I realized that if I do look back at the fish tanks I was doing back then and stuff, I was like, oh, wow, that is terrible. But slowly but surely, you know, those incremental steps that I've made in my life are the same kind of things that I've been doing with fish tanks, is just making those slow incremental steps to getting, you know, just improving overall the ecosystem that I'm building, the ecosystem that I'm working within. You know, every once in a while I get to... like I threw down some money the other day. I got another Fluval light, just because I really dig those lights, and I'm really swapping out equipment slowly. You know, obviously it would be a gigantic amount of money if I was to just have swapped all of my lights over to Fluval 3.0s, and it would have been crazy because I would have needed like 20 of them or something. I'm not even, let me think, 4, 6, 8, 10... 14, 16, 17. Yeah, it's like 20 of them. And, you know, I could see where a lot of people are coming from, where they're like, that light's like super expensive. I get it. And I just using it as an example that, you know, I had a Fluval 2.0, and I really wanted to upgrade that one and move it over to a 3.0, and it was like, at the time I couldn't do it. So I had to wait a little while, and then I was able to buy one and, you know, like, get that swapped out. So, you know, I look at my fish tanks the same way. You know, I like you guys started out with the SpongeBob SquarePants kind of setup, you know what I mean? Where it was like, you know, you go to the store and you're like, well, what do I get? And what am I doing here? Like, what's happening? And then you get maybe a little piece of advice from somebody at the store. So you're like, okay, maybe I get this thing. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. And you keep, and you just keep kind of doing what you're doing, and you kind of move along, and eventually you get to a point where, you know, if you have a conversation with a huge aquascaper out there, I don't never claim myself to be a huge aquascaper, but, you know, when I talk to those guys, I'm like, yeah, I pretty much kind of get all the stuff you're talking about. Like, yeah, it all makes sense. You know, I wish I just woke up one day and I just had like all the information in my head instead of having to piecemeal it together for a really long time. But if there was one thing I wanted to pass on to people, that, like, you know, my sober journey is the same way. It was just little tiny bits by little tiny bits, and my fish tank stuff, my plant systems, the ecosystems, like learning about bacteria, all that kind of stuff. It's just little bit by little bit, and it's always just these little incremental improvements that you never really notice, that eventually you get to a point where you're like, man, this system is just kicking and it's doing really well. And then it's like, well, maybe I want to add a plant. Maybe I want to take away a plant. Maybe I want to change something around. Maybe I want to try a different substrate. You know, because one of those things is, like, once you get a tank set up and you're kind of just running it, like, you know, making a $28 investment in a bag of substrate that maybe you want to swap something out doesn't seem like that big of a deal. You know, I think if I went to go set up my fish room, I'd be like, well, how much money is that? You know, because I think if I set mine up, you know, just like to go buy the tanks that I have and all that kind of stuff, it would be easily like $8,000 or $10,000 or something like that. And I'd be like, I don't know, guys, that's a new work truck. You know what I mean? So, I don't know that I would ever get to the point where I'm at if it was just, you know, throw it all in all at once. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think I guess that's kind of my thing. And just, you know, I try to express my gratitude, and I've gotten a lot of questions from people about, like, well, what's the best way to support? You know, they're like, I watch the videos, and hey, like, that's the easiest, best way to support. Is like, you watch the videos, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff, and share it out. Like, that's the easiest, freest, cheapest way. And I don't want those people to feel alienated. You know, I definitely want them to know that I appreciate just people just watching and stuff. Everyone has a different, you know, everyone has a different budget. Everyone has a different availability and all that kind of stuff. And I don't look down on people that, you know, can't afford to do something like a super chat or go to Patreon or any of that kind of stuff. I certainly don't look down on those people. The one group of people I look down on are the negative commenters that just, like, bring nothing to the table, you know? Like, I'm not opposed to getting a negative comment where somebody is like, oh, hey, I have a criticism. You know what I mean? Like, how you edited this was weird. I think I would have liked it better had you done this. Or, you know, if somebody's like, oh, the volume is super weird on this. Like, that's not, I don't consider that to be negative. But I think, I don't think people realize, like, the amount of negativity there is just because it's YouTube, right? And there's a lot of people out there that consider this to be like a hyper-competitive space. And it's very interesting to me. I find that characteristic to be a little bit interesting when I don't think there's a lot of people out there that understand the perspective that pretty soon there's going to be 8 billion people on the planet. Like, it's not that competitive. You know what I mean? You know, just make the thing that you want and just roll with it and just go and do your thing and it'll be fine, you know? But that's the one group of people I look down on, and just like that, like, oh, we're dropping negative nonsense comments because I think your eyeballs are stupid, you know? It's like, yeah, just go ahead and delete those people. See you later. But yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure that I expressed my gratitude to the Patreon people, because I don't think that I would have quit. I don't think that quitting is the right term. But you know, realistically, when it comes down to it, that like if I can break even because of the people on Patreon and stuff like that, that's been a huge thing. And I don't know that I would, like I said, I don't know that I would have quit. I don't know that I would have just like thrown it on the ground and walked away kind of deal, you know. Like it'd be weird to say that, but it has come up at certain times where I'm just like, I didn't want to do YouTube anymore. And I took like a 1.5-year break or something like that. And I think, you know, when you start to like couple all of the weirdness together where, like I said, there's a lot of YouTubers that think this is competitive. There's a lot of people that think that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of weird people out there doing YouTube. I guess I'll put it that way. David Gilkinson is asking about Game of Thrones, and we have not talked about Game of Thrones yet, but we will. And don't worry, guys, I won't spoil anything for you. I'm gonna try to keep it as vague as possible. So, but we will discuss a little bit of the old Games of Thrones because it's the biggest TV show around. It's coming to the end of its thing, and I do have some opinions on what's going on. But we do have a bunch of super chats here I want to grab. And David also is asking, what do you use for pads under large aquarium sumps? Under my sumps, I use the pink styrofoam that you can get at like any hardware store around. And then depending on like how wonky the surface is down below there, I'll either get the 1/2-inch one or the 1-inch one, or if it's like really messed up, I'll get the 1.5-inch one. But that pink foam insulation, it's a single cell foam, I think, foam board, you know, works pretty well, doesn't rot. So even if it does get wet or whatever, it doesn't rot, whatnot. Works really well for underneath. And then underneath acrylic tanks, if I just do plywood underneath the acrylic tank and having it be flat, I'll sand everything down smooth and just leave it on the stand. Or you can find this stuff, it's like yoga mat. It's basically kind of like a really terrible yoga mat. Like I think it would be like the worst yoga mat ever. But it works great for under aquariums, and I think you can find them on Amazon. I might have to find them, but you can find them on Amazon for like $5 or something and cut them down. And they're normally like big enough to just cut to size and then maybe donate the rest to something. I don't know. Maybe you could donate it. I don't know. But we got a super chat from Rumbust of Swedish Krones 50. Saying congrats on 5 years, man. Stay sober. I hope I get to meet you someday. I'll buy you a coffee and hashtag Fluval's tripping. That's right. That's how long Rumbust has been around. He knows about Fluval's tripping. So thank you very much, Rumbust. He's always been a big supporter of the show and the channel and stuff. And I do hope to meet you someday too. I do have to admit, I have a little bit of, I'm a little jealous right now. I had a thing pop up that was a reminder that Cory from Aquarium Coop and myself were in Europe this time last year. I believe this was Interzoo, I think, is what was going on. We were at Interzoo last year, I think, this time, and right now he just landed over in Israel to go check out some of the tanks there. And politics aside, politics as far as Israel and Palestine, I don't want to talk about it. But I am a little jealous that he got to go over there to look at some of those fish systems and stuff. Like, I'm super intrigued to maybe go over there. And I'm a little jealous that I didn't get invited because I guess I'm not cool enough. I don't think the company that sponsored it was really that excited about maybe sponsoring this channel. Because I think it's a reality. I was listening to John from KG Tropicals. If you guys don't know who John Hudson is from KG Tropicals, they just passed the 100,000 subscriber mark, and a big congratulations to those guys for hitting that milestone. But he was talking about it in his live stream that there's a lot of companies that are like, yeah, if you're not over 100,000 subscribers, we don't even want to deal with you. And which makes sense, because I've encountered that myself, where I'm like, all right, that's cool, no problem. But here's the thing. Really successful companies like our affiliate sponsor, the Aquarium Co-op, know that, sponsoring somebody like me is probably a good idea, because I'll let you guys know if I don't like a product. I'll let you guys know if I do like a product, right? And then if you guys want to buy it, you can. And then we know, oh, hey, this guy is worth X amount of money if people go and buy stuff from his channel, right? And then we have that information, and then we take it to like a big company, and we're like, hey, this is how much gets sold of your stuff. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. And it's like, yeah, you could have sponsored that guy, but now it's too late. And to be honest with you guys, like, I would tell you guys to go to Aquarium Co-op to buy stuff regardless of whether they were our affiliate sponsor or not. I mean, not only is he local, it's a local company, it's a small company. I mean, relative to what, I don't know, but there's a small, locally owned company and stuff. I would recommend you guys to go there. Plus, the service is super top notch, as somebody posted in the chat earlier, which I probably should have highlighted and saved the comment so we could talk about it. But where did it go? They said they ordered on Sunday or maybe Saturday. I think they said that they ordered on Saturday maybe, and it already has arrived in West Virginia. So we're in Washington here, and so went all the way across the country. I'm not sure how far West Virginia is, maybe 2,800 miles, which, how many kilometers is that? 5,600 kilometers for all you international metric system folks. I think it's something like that. Maybe 6,000 kilometers. Let's just call it 6,000, because this is 2.2 kilometers to a mile. I don't know. But it's pretty far, and it got there, ordered on Saturday, and got there today, West Virginia. So, crazy awesome. The Zombie Drummer, who's always been a supporter with a $2 super chat, has a high five Monday right in its stupid face. I have to agree with you on that. Mondays are, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I mean, I know it's just like, it's so, it's such a, is it stereotype? Is that the right word that I'm looking for? I don't know if that's the right word. Stereotypical to be like, oh, it's Monday. Oh, no. But I don't know. I think it's just becoming more and more rough with the baby now, where it's like, oh, man, the weekend's over. Oh, my God, I gotta run around. And we run around all weekend now, so it's a little bit crazy. Nathan Kotas is wondering if I've used the USB air pumps from the Coop yet. Yeah. The little green USB air pumps are awesome, and I am working on a video on that, and the SIS filters, because I've been testing those SIS filters, and I honestly, like, if you're watching the live stream right now, I can tell you the SIS filters pretty darn good. I've been testing them out in my sump, so I've been running them in one of the chambers over there, and I'm really happy with how well that actual little filter works. And, I think my initial thing is that I was like, man, I don't know if this thing is worth $30. Like, it's $29.99. You know what I mean? It's not $0. It's not a crazy amount either. But I was like, I don't know if this thing is worth $30, because I've made, in the past, I'd made little K1 filters like that. And, realistically, I was thinking about it. And, with the K1 media, with the hose, with tube, like find a 2-liter bottle, which we don't have pop here, so it's not like I have a 2-liter bottle around or even a 1-liter bottle or any of that kind of stuff. And then get a sponge for it and all that kind of stuff, and like making all that stuff. In my opinion, I think it's worth the $30 because you get it. It's really professionally packaged. It's like ready to go. Like you don't even have to mess around with the thing. You just pop it in there, put an airline on it. And so one of the videos that I'm working on is what's the feasibility of running one of those filters in my aquariums, right? Because I'd have to take it from the sump and put it up into the tank, like if I had a power outage. Because for whatever reason, a lot of people ask me about what to do with a power outage. I am not, maybe it's my own shortcoming, maybe it's my own fault or something like that, but I don't have power outages here like it seems to be very common. Like a lot of people seem to have a lot of power outages, and I just don't have that many here. So I realistically had to kind of go to the table and kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And luckily, it looks to me like I could advise here on the live stream. The SIS filter's running in my sump. Take it out, put it up into the display tank, and run that USB air pump on with just like a USB battery, like those little battery packs. Of course, I don't have one here now or anything because I got them out there because I'm testing them and kind of trying to make the video so it doesn't look all ridiculous. Because the first time I shot it, it was like it was all super underexposed and like weirdly dark, like as if the power was out while I was actually shooting the video. So I have to. So nevertheless, I have to go back and kind of fix that up and make it better. But I think it is. I think it's looking to be pretty feasible, and it seems to work to do it that way. Fish Tank Barn says the SIS filter is now $24.99. Oh, so it's dropped in price, which that's something I'd love to bring up. Thank you guys for mentioning that. It's actually $5 cheaper. So if it's $5 cheaper than what I thought, 30, then because I think the USB pump, the USB air pump is like $6.99 or $7.99 or something like that. So I think you could get both of those for just over $30. You're pretty close to the $35 free shipping. I think that kind of works, right? Order a couple plants, you're ready to go. I think, like just throw a couple extra Anubias in there because they take forever to grow, and you're like, maybe if you just add in Anubias like it's an add-on, every once in a while when you order some stuff, then you'd be like, I'm growing Anubias. Check out how fast I'm growing it, But that definitely is something that, so I guess that puts that in there. But the thing I wanted to bring up is like, so Cory was like, he and I were talking about this last year about whether he was going to actually be able to implement what he's done this year. And one of the big things that he's doing is, he's bulk purchasing, and I have helped out with storing a bunch of this stuff, by the way. And as far as the SIS filters go, I will tell you guys, I unloaded like 26 cases of them, which, by the way, they are a lot in a box, and they are really heavy when there's a lot of them in a box. And just as a favor to Cory, I happened to be up there and was like, I'm not really doing anything right now. You want me to unload those? And I unloaded them, and I didn't really, it's one of those things when you're like, yeah, I'll just do all those boxes, no big deal. But by the time I got to the last one, I was like, I don't know if I should recommend myself to do wacky labor like this. Hey guys, maybe there's somebody that could do a thing, But Cory and I were talking about it last year, whether or not he's going to be able to pull it off. But he's been bulk purchasing and lowering the price on stuff. Because people keep asking me, they're like, hey man, your 10% off code doesn't work. Your this doesn't work, from some older videos. And I'm like, yeah, of course not. Because Cory's essentially just lowering the prices on everything. So if you went from $30 to $25, that's $5 off a $30 product. Oh man. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17%. Is that right? I don't know. Somebody's going to tell me my maths is terrible, but I think that's basically, I think that's 17%, right? Off, I think. So 5 times 6 is 30. So 6, right? Is that right? Did I get that right? I hope not. I like it when I don't get things right, but I think it's 17% off. And then it's just, there it is. It just is 17% off. So, but he was talking about doing that last year. Didn't know if logistically he'd be able to pull it off or any of that kind of stuff, but he's just been, I know personally behind the scenes, that guy's been working his buns off to, just drop the price on everything so that you guys are getting a better deal. You guys can get the stuff that you want and not be stuck like hoping that there's a sale someday because the stuff's just all on sale. YA Crazy took $2 out of their pocket on a super chat saying congrats. Well, thank you very much. Cindy 425 with a monster super chat, $20, saying a small token of my gratitude. Have a lemonade on me. Ooh, that is a good idea. I will tell you guys, I don't know if I'm gonna have lemonade until maybe this weekend because went a little crazy yesterday on the ice cream. We were out. We did the Mother's Day thing. We had to drive all the way out to Ocean Shores. We drove out to Ocean Shores to go see Vicky's mom, and which it's a lot of fun. Our baby just kind of slept the whole way, which is definitely admirable because she was just pretty chill the whole time. And there was a drive-through ice cream stand in an old gas station. So, we had to make a little stop. And we were like, "Oh, you guys got hand scooped ice cream, and we don't even have to get out of the car," because it is a bit of a thing where you're like, "I don't know if we should get ice cream, babe. We got to get the baby out, and then we got to take her in there. We got to take her out of her car seat, and then we got to put her in a stroller. And yes, we have a car seat that goes into the stroller, but Olivia does not like being in the car seat in the stroller. She doesn't like being in the car seat because of the restraints. And then, if we're going to take the seat belt off and all that stuff, then she's going to get loose. She's wild already. So we might as well just do that. And, so I had a bunch of ice cream, so I might just have to be holding off till maybe the weekend. But thank you very much, Cindy, and thank you very much to Fish Tank Barn. $5 super chat. Congrats, man. Keep on keeping on. I will. Go get some coffee on me. By the way, did Mr. Brown's ever come back? Oh, on the on Amazon? You know what? I don't know. I have not seen Mr. Brown's on Amazon, and I wish they would, but I don't know what the deal is. I'm gonna probably have to go to one of the stores out here and see what happened. Oh my gosh, we got a new member, you guys. Oh, we got 2 new members. Ginger Graves, who I actually got to meet for a minute at AGA, which was great. I wish to be honest with you guys, like, I had a great time at the AGA. The one downfall was I did not get to spend very much time with the people that came out because there were so many events. Like, everybody was just going to the events all the time. So it was like, we basically would meet up with people like, oh yeah, and then a thing would start, and then everybody would go do that for an hour and a half, and it's like, oh man, it's real quiet in here because everybody's doing the thing. So the one downside, I wish I could have spent more time with you guys, like Ginger and Barbara and like Jason and Preston. Although Preston and I did get to go out to lunch and stuff, so we got to hang out, and hopefully I'll be heading down to get some video of his crazy puffer fish room in Arizona, hopefully soon. I hope to go soon. To be brutally honest with you guys, I would get on a flight to go down there and film right now, but we got this baby and stuff. We got to schedule things, and it's hard. But I might June 1st I might be making it back to the Willamette Valley 1 year anniversary, that fish club anniversary. I might be able to make it to that. I was on the phone this morning trying to coordinate somebody watching the baby and stuff, because that's an overnight. That would be the first overnight, and we'll see if we can do that. I hope we can do that. and be able to bring Victoria down and come down and have some fun. UG Aquatics says, "Hey buddy, congrats. I'm clean today because of aquatics as well." Ooh, I dig it. I like to hear that. I like to hear from you guys. You know, I had set a goal. I had set a goal a while ago that if I help one other person, that's good. That's really good. If I help and inspire one other person, and that's really awesome. And then I set a goal that I was going to hit 10, and I wasn't going to try to go over 10. Or, I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't going to try to go over 10. It's that I wasn't going to set a goal over 10. Mainly because it's kind of scary when you're trying to, you know, make a positive affect. You know, it's pretty easy to be crazy and make a negative affect, but it's a little bit difficult when you're trying to make a positive affect without like telling people what to do. You know what I mean? But anybody, you know, speaking of telling people what to do, I get a question a lot from people, and it's always in the private messages, the direct messages, that kind of stuff, what to do. And I will say on this show, if you're in the United States or not in the United States, if you are in Europe, if you're in China, if you're in Australia, if you're in Japan, if you're in like almost every European country or something like that, there is a free 12-step program for you to go out and get started. I'm not saying that a 12-step program is the perfect way for everyone to go, right? I'm not saying it's a perfect fit for everybody. What I am saying is it's a perfect place to start out your journey in making a change in your life, right? Because people constantly ask me, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? A 12-step program is free to go to, costs you absolutely nothing. More often than not, the places are quite open arms, have new members, new people come in, come say hi, and there are going to be people there that are going to be able to help you in person on what to do and what to get started on. It's very difficult for me to try and have a direct message back and forth with somebody and not be in person and at least like be able to feel your vibe, see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like get a person-to-person interaction. And as I put in the thumbnail up here, like the community is key. Like that is where you're going to start and at least get to a point where you can start to build a community and start to do that kind of stuff. Obviously, the fish fam, the YouTube fish aquatics aquarium keeping people is a big part of my community. Like you guys engaging with stuff and like saying hi and like coming onto the show and that kind of stuff is huge to me. This is a great place for me to be able to talk about some of my thoughts, some of my things that are going on and that kind of stuff. And I 100% appreciate the community I get from you guys. But when I started out and got sober, that was a big time when I took a big break from YouTube because I was in person. I was going to therapy, which obviously not everybody can go to therapy, but everyone can go to a 12-step meeting. There'll be people there that could find you rides. Maybe you want to go to a different style of 12-step. Maybe you want to go to a men's only meeting. Maybe you want to go to a women's only meeting. Maybe you want to go into start recovery, which is an alternative. Maybe you want to go into one of the other alternative recoveries that are out there. That's where you're going to find those people. You're going to at least find those people where you can go like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. The 12-step process is just a matter of like working your way through your issues and stuff like that. So it's the people at those meetings, they can give you the direction of like, start right here, right now, do this. That's what you're doing right now. So it is not an easy process. A lot of it has to do with psychology. A lot of it has to do with your past. A lot of it has to do with working through things. Yes, you have to do a lot of work. There's a bunch of stuff. You have to write a bunch of stuff down. You have to talk to people. You have to explain what your feelings are and, go through a lot of stuff. And you're going to find a mentor there, and a mentor can help you. And maybe your mentor is crazy, so you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that one and go find a different one until you find a piece of that community that's working, because I wouldn't say that I would be a good mentor for every person in the world. That's just wild. Like, me being a weirdo in my own weird way works for some people. Some people are like, I like this guy. And some people are like, I hate this guy. And that's fine. That's that's not a problem, and that's the same thing that happens if you happen to get into recovery. You might not like a meeting, go to a different meeting. If you might not like this person who's helping you out, just be like, no, don't help me out anymore. I don't want to talk to you. Go over here. From my own personal experience, I spent a lot of time. One of the places I used to go to was really, I guess the easy way to explain it, I was like the only white guy there, or maybe one of a couple only white guys, and most everybody else was, not of the same ethnic background, I guess. Like I was pretty much the only white guy there. Which is fine. It was a good. It was all the people there were awesome, and I love all those guys and everything. And that's where I spent a lot of my time, just kind of explaining what's going on, because honestly, I felt like I was in a space where people were, actively hearing what I was saying and would go and could just go like, I don't know, what are you talking about right here? And I'd be like, well, because of this and that, right? And they're like, I don't know, man, that's weird, kind of stuff. And it's like, so it worked really well for me, but I wouldn't necessarily say that like that's exactly where you should be at. I wouldn't recommend a woman to go to an all men's meeting. You know what I mean? Like, that would be awkward, but I did have an all men's meeting that we actually had a female that would come to that meeting because it was the only place where she felt comfortable. And, we had the people in the group, we all met about it and we're like, is this going to be all right? And we were like, you know what? Like, recovery comes first. And so, all right, man, everybody's working for everybody. All right, let's do this. All right. Cheshire Cat says, I wish my uncle would get help, but he's too proud to admit he has problems. He's slowly reaching that point, but refuses to talk to professionals. Marijuana is ruining his life and health, though. Yeah. It's not great for everybody. You know what I mean? And it could really be anything that could be spoiling somebody's life. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily just limited to drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff, but it could be anything. And I would highly recommend to anybody out there, like if you're feeling like something is bugging you real bad and you keep having thoughts about it and you're thinking about it, like it, you could easily make a change. You could easily make a change and get rocking and rolling on it. And, it will take a long time, It might take a long time. It might take a long time to get where you're at. It might also take a long time for your life to turn into a disaster enough where you actually think about making a change. That's kind of one of the things that's really weird about people, is that we're really resilient. We're really resilient in the face of incrementally getting less and less, satisfied with the things that are going on. Like, we're really resilient to just like fight back against it and just keep doing what you're doing and hoping that it's going to work out. And, I just found a much easier, softer way, and that's in recovery, Big D Smoke with a $10 super chat saying, congrats on 5 years. Awesome accomplishment. It's an inspiration to a lot of us. Well, thank you, man. Just doing the best I can, and hopefully help out with some fish questions and, some plant questions and stuff like that too while we're at it. Rochelle D became a new member all the way from Canada. Nova Scotia, I think, maybe. I don't know. Scott Halperin. Congrats on 5 years. Thank you for the super chat, my guy. Ginger Graves with a $10 super chat. Congrats on 5 years. I really enjoyed meeting you at and AGA, the Aquatic Gardeners Association. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was really happy with the Aquatic Gardeners Association. It was pretty fun. And like I said, the one thing that was the downside, didn't get to spend a lot of time with you guys because everybody was so busy having fun, Kind of wanted to aquascape some tanks myself, but you know how it is. Spadoinkle says, you're an inspiration, Joel. My late father, whose birthday is today, coincidentally, lost his life to alcohol addiction. Keep fighting. We're all proud of you. Oh, thanks, Spadoinkle. I'm sorry to hear your father passed, and it's always hard, and it's always hard to It's always hard to have somebody outside. I mean, it's hard enough to have yourself, but it's really hard to have somebody else just going that route. You know what I mean? Like you just feel handcuffed. You know what I mean? Like you just feel like you don't know what to do. And if you are in that spot, and you know, if you might not be an alcoholic or an addict or any of that kind of stuff, but if you are in that spot where you're feeling like there's somebody else that is in there, you can go to what's called an Al-Anon meeting, and that is for people that are, you know, either a spouse or a family member or whatever. You got somebody around you that's struggling with that stuff. You can go there. They can give you some help and give you some backup and that kind of stuff. Peppercini 808. That must be all the way from Hawaii if you're coming from the 808. I normally just lurk and learn here, but a big congratulations is in order. So congrats and thank you for the education and inspiration. Keep on going. Oh, thank you. $20. That's a lot. That's $20 is a lot. I could buy you know, a whole thing of coffee, whole can of coffee grounds. I pretty rarely go to the coffee place anymore. But I was out with Jimmy from Aquarium Co-op, and he introduced me to a new drink that's a lot cheaper at Starbucks. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but it's just shots of coffee over ice. I realized, like, you could just order shots of espresso, like, just a la carte, you know? You can just be like, yeah, what up? I want 5 shots of espresso, bro. And they're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What kind of cup do you want it in? They're like, over ice. And then you have like an iced coffee. So take that, Starbucks. Tyler Clinkscales with a $5 super chat says, congrats, man. You and your channel are giving me so much inspiration. Keep up the good work. I'm always looking forward to your uploads. Oh, thanks, Tyler. Like I said, you know, if there's people out there that all you can do is like watch or order stuff off Amazon or any of that kind of stuff, hey, 100% appreciate it. Like, it does not fall, like, it honestly does not fall on deaf ears. Like, it is exciting to me, you know, like I'm like, it's so cool. It really is. I don't know. I feel like I say it a lot and that like maybe people think I'm being disingenuous, but I'm being honest, man. It really is cool. And, you know, like, it's crazy when I, like, open up my email in the morning and, you know, some people have, like, signed up for Patreon and they're like, who, I don't want to accidentally mention somebody, but here we go. Where'd it go? Where did it go? It was just yesterday. Come on now. Oh, I have to go over to the other inbox. Like on Saturday, Rob the Butcher became a patron, and Daniel R. became a patron on Sunday. Like, it really is, like, I don't know. It's just a weird moment where, you know, like, it's sad if somebody, like, deletes their Patreon, but it's way more happier, like, if somebody is like, yeah, I want to support this. I want to see where this is going. I want to see where this thing is happening. And like $2 a month is not too much for me to see where this is going, right? You know, like I Patreon people too, you know? So I feel like, you know, like I like the Patreon channels where I'm like, where's this going? Like Fish for Thought. Like Fish for Thought would be a perfect example. You know, I've found that guy's channel like right when he started, or maybe not right when he started. That's a little arrogant for me to say, but he had like just started out. Maybe he had like 10 videos or something like that. And I was like, I clicked on his Patreon. Like I went over there and I was like, nobody's patronizing this guy. All right. So I was like, I'm going to Patreon this channel. I'm going to see what happens. And like, I've been a Patreon of other channels and stuff, and some people might be critical because I stopped patronizing some channels, but I also like those people, like I message them ahead of time. Like I'll leave a message on their Patreon, like, why haven't you updated this in X amount of time? Like, no updates in 6 months. I don't know what's up. And then if they don't get back to me in like a couple weeks, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm done here. So, Troy Gramlich. Problem seems to be at the forefront for most people. Once you are able to diffuse situations into smaller and more manageable problems, solutions are a lot easier to find. Number one rule for me is to keep busy. That is a perfect analogy, Troy. I really, that's the deal. You know, when you're looking at the big picture of a giant thing, of a giant project, it's pretty crazy. You know, it's pretty crazy to be like, you know, I'm looking at, you know, this, how am I going to build this whole building? You know what I mean? It's like, where do I start? But, you know, the thing is, when you just start out, when you just start out, you know, at the bottom, and you just start working on each little thing, before you know it, you end up with a building by the end of the time. You know, it's like I'm working on the studio downstairs. I was actually doing some of the finish work today on some shelving that's going in down there. And, you know, I was just kind of thinking about it like, man, when I started this out, we just had like a shell, and now it's actually starting to look like a space. I mean, all the electrical's in there. I still have some more lights to do and a few other things. But, you know, really, if I had to do the show down there, I mean, if I moved all the computers and all this stuff that's in here, I could probably do it tomorrow. But we want to get it perfect. But we're getting to that point where the new studio is going to be pretty good. Jessica Thiegartner had a free coffee at Dutch Brothers here in GP, which I don't know what GP is. Worth $7.50. Oh, yeah. That's, hey, I'm a big fan of the free coffee deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's always a good deal. UG Aquatics. Says, are you going to do a video on that Cryptocorini nurii flowering? Also, did you see my comment earlier on me using parts of plants to make new plants? I honestly believe I'm getting a nuri plant from a leaf. Now that, I'm not going to say no. Well, I didn't see your comment earlier, but I'm not going to say no, you can't do that, but you definitely can, you know, you definitely can split and culture plants. That, you know, it's 100%. That's something that you can do. With cryptocrine, almost every single one, I find it easiest just to allow it to, you know, send off its side shoots and then trim those, and you have a whole new plant. Pretty easy. Oh, Jessica says, Grants Pass. That's Oregon. All right, there we go. Yeah, and it's something that you can do, but I don't know. This is one thing that I try to point out, and I do a terrible job of pointing this out. That, and we will when we get into the Patreon questions here, which we're going to be, man, it's been almost a whole hour here of me just rambling on. But we'll get to the Patreon questions here in just a second. What's one thing I like to point out is that I try not to give the advice that I would to the person that's like way up here, right? Like somebody that is like hyper advanced or whatnot. Like, I don't want to give that advice. And one of the things that may or may not come up in today, but there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you could really limit nitrates, and you could get that plant to grow a lot more purple, or I could I could bring up artificially dosing magnesium, or, oh, I could get this, I could get that. There's a lot of things that you could do. Like some people got pretty irritated at me on Facebook because they were like, oh man, Easy Green is just like the lamest fertilizer ever, right? And I'm like, it works well. It's easy for people to use. It's pretty affordable. Because they were like, oh, you could just make your own thing of Easy Green. Like, okay, yeah, I can make my own fertilizers, guys. But I don't think it's good advice. I don't think it's good advice because, most of the people I'm talking to are the people in America. And if you want to use a different fertilizer, feel free. I don't mind. Your choice is your choice. You can do what you like. I ain't arguing with that, right? But I feel like if you are in America, there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily at the top of their game because they're just learning, because it hasn't been as widely popular here as it has in other countries, like in Europe or in Asia. It hasn't been around that long to be growing that many plants and things like that in the U.S. It has been around, but it hasn't been available to a lot of the people, right? So you could go back 30 years ago and you could find people in the U.S. growing plants in aquariums and really trying to find new stuff and that kind of stuff. But it just was not that popular. You know what I mean? Oh, what is this? Oh, no. Sorry about that, guys. I had my sounds on the other computer there. You know, but a lot of the people that I'm talking to are people that are like, yeah, I just got into it like a year ago, just got into it like 6 months ago. You know, maybe I got into it like 2 years ago, but I didn't dive deep. I just been, you know, growing some Java fern, a couple other things and stuff like that. Like those are the main people like I want to help out. Like somebody that's like super advanced, you know, like George Farmer, right? Like George Farmer isn't like calling me to ask like, what do you think about this rock placement? You know what I mean? Like, so the people I'm trying to help out, and the unfortunate thing is that most of the people that are bringing the negative stuff is that being like, oh, that's totally lame. You know, it's like some kind of weird superiority thing or whatever that they got going on where they're just like, oh, these lame like new people to the thing. Like, look, man, I want new people into this. I want new people. I want new perspectives. I want new ideas. I want new people to come in. Like, that's the whole thing. Because the more people that get into this hobby because they are excited about things like I am, where it's like you have a garden all year round inside in your aquarium that is just so much fun to play with and so much fun to trim and maintain and take care of, that like I don't see the upside of being like, well, that's not professional scape, you know, like that's not a professional aquascape, like, you know. So, you know, that's my game, is like try and help the people out that you know, maybe it's not day one. I don't know if I'm somebody that could help somebody out on day one, but maybe you're on day 30 and you're like, all right, I got my thing running. I got this. I'm doing my water test. I'm trying to figure this out. What am I short on here? Like, what's my plan? Like, I started out with a desk lamp, like this one over here, right? Like, you got a desk lamp, like I did. I started out using old desk lamps, and I unwired them, you know, and I would rewire them into hoods and things. And I wanted to figure out where to go from there. And, you know, I think personally, had I run into a bunch of people that were like, man, that's stupid, I think personally I wouldn't get discouraged, because I run into lots of people who are super hyper negative and stuff like that, and yeah, whatever, you know, that's grease off the back, you know. But I think if a lot of people out there, if you run into that kind of crazy nonsense, then you're not really encouraged to like keep going. And, you know, I try to do my best to keep people going and stay in that kind of middle ground of like it's not extreme over here, it's not extreme over here. Like, let's try to live in this 80%, you know what I'm saying, that most everybody could pull off. Karen Pepe says, yes, I love that I can garden all year round in my planted tanks. It makes me happy. Yes, it's good for you, and it's good for your depression. If not, I'm not saying Karen has depression. I do. I personally have depression and all sorts of craziness going on with my brain. I've been hitting the head a lot, and the doctors just kind of say good luck, you know. Take a Tylenol. And, you know, I get depressed, and I have, you know, a lot of side effects from that kind of stuff. And so I feel where you're at. And, you know, one of the things that's definitely really therapeutic to me is being able to work on my plants, my planted aquariums. Let's see. All right. Well, let's get over to Dovey Doset's asking, you ever going to finish that killifish portrait back here? I don't know. I have not been inspired to paint in a long time, mainly because this room that I used to paint in is pretty much full of baby stuff, as you can see. That's a whole baby changing station back there, and that's all baby stuff back there too, and that's baby stuff and baby stuff, and I got some old paintings right there that are heading downstairs right quick. So I'll be back to painting at some point in time, but I did realize, I looked at an old video like from like 5 months ago or 6 months ago or something, I think is when I started that, and it's just been sitting there, but it's not a commission piece, so slow priority, you know what I mean? Dovey says, not to cut Georgie, but I feel like like a lot of this European scapes look alike. Not my gig at all. Well, he's European. You know, he does European style. So, you know, George is European and he does European style scapes. So it's very much that European style. So maybe it's not your specific style that you want to do, but I think George is a great guy. I've hung out with him a bunch of times and really like that dude. So. And he works really hard. He works really hard at what he's doing. So, but he definitely does have a style. Like you could tell if it's one of his tanks. You know, it's kind of funny walking around Green Aqua. It's like there's this one tank that's a little bit different than all the other ones, where all the Hungarians are like doing their own thing, and then there's this one that's like, I don't know, man. The rocks and everything in here is a little bit different. It's like, oh, that's George's tank. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Dr. Wigglespank, how close can you put plants like Java Fern to a heater? Not too close. Don't want to overheat anything, ever. And it's one of the reasons I like to run sumps, too, is that I don't have to worry about my heater being too close to, like, burning plants or anything like that, or melting them. It's kind of the worst. Kind of the worst, personally, when you, like, plants die because you're just trying to keep the tank warm. But let's remind ourselves, as I was talking about earlier, that a lot of this is brought to you by the Patreon people, and you know, I know that people like, stop talking about Patreon, but we're doing the Patreon show today. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but that's what we're doing today. Some people get a little bit upset because I talk about Patreon a lot, but as I mentioned earlier in my little gratitude speech there, I don't know that I would even really be able to keep doing this show. I probably would have had to just go do something else completely. So my props are to the Patreon people. I know that we have other ways to support the channel, but that's more just like a convenience thing. You know, it's just, if it's something that is more convenient for you, then okay. We do have a really cool little tiny, like 280 people on a Patreon. We have a small community. This is one of the reasons I think that this is advantageous to people, is that not only is there a way to message me on Patreon, there's instant messenger. I do have one sitting here from Barbara, but I will message her back. There is a messenger on there. You can email each other. You can message each other. We have a community page where you can post pictures of what's going on. Maybe you have a question, maybe what's going on. I shout it out on the video. I even put it on the video. As long as it's not lewd or crass or anything like that, it'll come up on the video. We'll talk about it, and it also gives a little bit of promo and stuff. And it'll be like as little as $1 a month. So I feel like that's good return, right? You know, so I feel like it's good return, and it also gives us a chance to have a little community back and forth to help people out. You guys can leave comments on other people's posts if maybe you have an answer, and we'll be getting some of those, you know, coming up pretty soon. Jeff Mueller is asking, how do we join Patreon? So there's a link below every video. There's a link in the chat that you can click on. It's www.patreon.com/Joel. JOEL_C. That's me, Joel C. That's how you find the Corvus Oscen channel on Patreon, and it's pretty. You know, you can pop on there, you can find it, and then hey, maybe you want to join this little community we got going, and you know, then we'll just keep rocking and rolling. We'll just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll keep moving on and moving on up. Now, we got an awesome post here from Grassy Peak. This is kind of a callback to Famous Jones' post. It says, it was taken on a pedestrian road in Kyoto, Japan. Hopefully I said that right, and people don't get mad at me. Many homes in Japanese cities are right on the walkways with no yard to speak of. Most people who live in these homes have container gardens, and this one had a container of Medaka fry. Now, I'm not sure what Medakas are. I don't know. But I'm assuming they look something like little live bearers or something like that. So I probably should have looked them up, but let me just admit my ignorance as to what type of fish that is right off the top of my head. But they do look like little live bearers or guppies or something. So, but yeah, this is one of the things that I was talking about on one of the shows a while ago, is that there's a little bit different perspective in some of the other countries in regards to like a Planet Aquarium or how you garden or how you care for your home and whatnot. Japan is a perfect example that there's often an aquarium in like every house that has live plants and stuff in it. Like it's not that rare. It's a super common thing. It's not as common out here in the U.S., but we're coming along. We're catching up. And hopefully in America we can start to do more stuff like this with like our little parking strips and things like that. Planting food out there that is edible instead of just lawn out there. I feel like if we're gonna water it, you know what I mean? Like there's some cool stuff that you can put there. Medaka is a rice fish. Oh, okay. Well, I'm down with the rice fish. I was kind of thinking that they looked a lot like rice fish. Been messing with Cory's rice fish a lot. Thank you, Yuri. Yeah, we've been messing with those rice fish. They are like bulletproof live bearers. Super fun to have out in the pond. Yeah, really cool, fun little fish. Been messing with the like orange ones and the albino ones. So between the two of them, really fun to mess with and digging them. Digging those rice fish. Definitely recommend it pretty much anybody that is out there, rocking the rice fish game because you could have those outside all year round. Those tanks froze solid. They're the ponds. Cichlid Center just showed up. Well, hello. And Byron just showed up. What's up, Byron? Fish Tube's got my back saying Kyoto is exactly correct. All right. Well, that's good. All right. So we're doing pretty good. Woo! Moving on. Let's see who we got here. Alyssa Bentley's got putting a picture of her foot up on here. So if anybody was wondering the perspective of Alyssa's foot versus their aquarium setup, just so y'all know, just in case some of those feet people are out there and you want to see a feet. I'm kind of the opposite of a feet people. Anyhow. Sorry. Oops, I lost my chat. There we go. Okay. Look, I use the tweezle twazzles to keep the freshly planted Marsilia minutia in the substrate, mostly. Also, full tank shot with the filter and everything. I got those glass lily pipe intake outtake pieces, and you can only barely see them in the photo. I had wanted to get things ever since I first heard about it in 100,000 years ago, but always thought I couldn't do them justice with a tank. I got the CO2 running and fertilizers going. Can't wait for these plants to convert and grow in. Maybe one day a fish will live in here. Oh, so it's totally fishless, Alyssa style. She's got no fish yet. She's just gassing it with some CO2, a little bit of fertilizer, freshly planted. That's pretty much what you want to do. You want to kind of gas some CO2, get a little bit of extra fertilizer in there that you might not normally have that much. And then you can run like a weird light cycle that's like full blast for like 4 hours and then off, so you can stay out of the algae zone. So it is a little bit different when you're setting up a Planet Aquarium like that and you're getting it started, getting it going. You definitely want to run things a little bit different than your typical setup because, you can afford to do it. And it's a good reason to wait to have your fish in there, and you can run through kind of a weird system to get the plants adapted really quickly. I am kind of jealous of your lily pipe game, Alyssa, so maybe someday I'll... Like you said, like I heard about him a million years ago, and then just never managed to get him and get him in there. Michael Irving sends this one in. I got this as Pogostemon Sampsonii. I like the color, but the submersed leaves have less defined sawtooth edges. It has put the thought of an I have put the thought of an all Pogostemon aquascape. Yeah, one of the weird things is that Sampsonii, yes, it is lacking the sawtooth feature from immersed grown that's up above the water column. So it's up in the air. It really does lose that sawtooth feature to the leaves and stuff, but this is one of those plants that you're almost always going to get immersed grown, not converted. So just have some patience on this one. I'm converting some immersed grown plants that I got from the AGA, and yeah, just have some patience, keep rocking and rolling, and eventually you can start to trim some of the submerged growth off, replant them, and just keep converting it and keep converting it, and eventually you get to that point. I had posted up on Instagram some Macandra that I finally got, like on the 4th generation. I got it converted to exactly where I want it to be. Instead of having those goofy, like weird, like tendrily leaves, they're nice and cupped and round like they're supposed to be, and red. That's what I'm going for. So took a while, but it is one of those things. Mr. Fax Machine in the chat saying everything else seems to be growing fine, but I'm getting super frustrated with Styrogine repens. Check your KH and GH. Your hardness is probably too low. I'm having the exact same problem with my Styrogine repens. It's always frustrating because my hardness drops a little bit and it just starts being super fussy. So check your hardness if that could be what's going on. So try to get it in that kind of middle range of GH6 and then KH up at like 150, something like that. Let's see. Dovi Dosette going to try to plant some dwarf hairgrass in a few minutes. Prepare to hear cursing from Phoenix. You can hear all the way from Phoenix. I am no good with the tweezle twazzles. Yeah, it's a learned behavior. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And, you watch people that do it all the time, and you're like, man, what am I doing? Mr. Fax Machine, could you talk about Styrogine repens for a bit? Mine seem to be growing, but keep putting off small leaves under one large set. Also seem to be getting pinholes in the leaves. 76 degrees heat, pH 8.2. Check your fertilizer, make sure your CO2 concentration is good, but I think either GH or KH is probably low. That's typically what you find with the Styrogine repens being a little bit weird, but that is one of those great times that honestly, the Patreon's a huge help because you can actually post pictures and see what's going on. You can take the time to write out your full water tests, all that kind of stuff if you're having an issue, and snap a couple pictures and post those up. It's as easy to do as Facebook, if you can do Facebook, you can do it. And the thing is that people get a little bit frustrated with the Patreon app because you do need to open it with the desktop on your phone to be able to post pictures. That's just the one thing that's a little bit quirky with it, because I don't know why. I don't really know why. I think it's iPhones. You have to go to the desktop and then go to the page, and then you can do it. But I've heard that a lot. So, and it seems to be the one workaround is that it's a desktop app as far as posting pictures and stuff. Special treat for us, or special treat us for Joel. Special treat for us, Joel, I think is what that's supposed to say. This shot is on the other side of the other end of the tank from last week. You can see the children's department and the library, beautiful anemones, and the pink skunk clowns that live in them. These guys spawn occasionally, but haven't managed to raise the fry yet, which seems really doubtful if anybody's going to be able to raise the clownfish fry in this tank. They'll spawn a lot, but it does take a lot of care to get your clownfish, the eggs and the spawn to actually make it to past, adolescence. I need a little coffee there, guys. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still jealous of Kelly. I would love to go hang out with this saltwater tank that she gets to look at all the time when she goes to work. A little bit jealous. We have a really long post here. So it is a mega post from Marcus, and I don't think we have time today to read through the whole thing. And we're going to read through this thing. I'm going to address this on Wednesday. We're going to talk about this on Wednesday's show because we have a lot of posts here from Marcus that is really good, and it is involved in some of the filtration, which could be important to some people out there. And there's some really good links in this, and it's great. It's just really long, and I'm going to have to go here in about 10 minutes, and so I don't want to jump into it and then get kind of stuck leaving it without actually addressing all the stuff, the upsides, the downsides, and everything. And like I said, there's some really good posts here from Marcus. It's fantastic, and this could be a really big step for some of those people that are in the middle of their game, and they're like, I want to make some changes. Maybe you want to do a sump. Maybe you want to change your thing from, maybe you want to change your thing from, maybe you want to change your filtration from a canister to a sump or something, and you're looking for something that's a better long-term setup and things. So this is a really good post. I'm dedicating time on Wednesday to talk about this. I don't want to just run over it and not get to it. And then we have a post from mhowie9, which is the fish tank barn, and we have one from Ollie. And okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get back to Marcus's on Wednesday. I just want to make sure. I'm sorry, guys. I'm literally reviewing to make sure that my thought process is correct right now. But mhowie9 is the fish tank barn. He's got this posted here. It's garden and summer tubbing. Over the past couple of years, my daughter has gotten interested in gardening. She had a small hair box, but that she's enjoyed last year, attached as the grow bed and fence I have started making her this year, which is cool. So we got a little some bunny rabbit stuff, which I really like bunny rabbits. I think they're cool and everything. Just the farming of them, though, kind of blows my mind. I think the chickens here smell bad enough, but for some reason, bunny rabbits just got some kind of weird funk about them that I'm like, oh. But I will encourage everybody to maybe stop into the Patreon and look at Marcus's post, because we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. We're going to go over some of my filtration that lines up with what he's talking about in there. It's some great points, and like I said, I'm going to dedicate time to that. But something about rabbits. Oh, excuse me. I'm burping, trying not to burp into the microphone and have everyone lose their minds. Preston John in the chat says, I posted a video on Instagram with my adult male puffer getting a snail stuck in his mouth. Everything is okay, but how long would you have waited to do something? I saw that video, and I feel like I should have commented or something to let you know that I did see it. But I just was laughing and was like, oh, man. How long would I have waited with a puffer and a snail caught in the mouth? I probably would have waited a while, honestly. It may be too long. If I'm being 100% honest, I probably would have waited way too long, and hopefully it would have made it, but I probably would have waited too long. But the fish tank barn posted this follow-up to the previous post. We have had to protect her starts from a particular cat that is intent on eating them. Look at this. We have this weird cat out here now that just kind of showed up a little while ago, and I think it's a junkyard cat, honestly. But it hangs around and sleeps underneath my truck and has no tail. Its tail's only like this, a little nubbin tail, so it clearly is the same cat. It's not like I'm confusing him. And we're going to see. We're going to see if this is a cool cat or not. Never know. 48 Tom W. Late to the chat. Congrats on 5 years sober. Been sober for 25 years. How I did that is a miracle for an ex-chemical garbage can. If I can do it, anyone can. That's legit. I'd put myself in that same category. You know what I'm saying? I put myself right in there. But yeah, we got that cat. I don't think I'm ever going to be the owner of a cat ever again. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. I'll just stick with the dogs and fish and chickens and all the crazy stuff I got already. Ollie H sent this in. It's good news. I won this. It's a 10-liter Dinner Lake Nano Cube, which is 2.5 gallons. No idea what to use it for. I've never run anything this small. I was thinking of growing plants emergent. What would Joel do? Yeah, I would probably just set up a little desk nano tank. Probably just a little tiny shrimpscape, and just go micro bonsai with just a little bit of plants in there, and I don't even know if I would put shrimp or anything this small, because I know how wonky I can be with maintenance. Like, and I wouldn't want it to sit there for like too long and have a bunch of evaporation, and then, you know, have things die just because I'm like, I'm too busy to do my maintenance, you know. So automation is key, and I don't know if I could automate a 2.5 gallon these days. I've done the 7.5 gallon once. I did a bunch of those automated on a sump, and had automatic water top off and stuff. But, you know, it's been a time, and I don't think I would put the energy into one 2.5 gallon. But yeah, I would do just a tiny little escape. I bet this light probably grows plants just fine. Knowing Dennerle, it probably grows plants just fine. And, you know, it's going to be real cheap to set up. You could buy like the most expensive hardscape, and it's still not going to be that crazy. So you could probably do something with, like, you know, dragonstone or whatever weird expensive stone you were looking for, and, you know, it not really cost that much because it's so darn small. Ginger Graves posted about her goldfish here. Says, I seem to always post problems, but I'm at a loss. My goldfish have what looks like ick. Personally, if we're talking about this right here, those white spots might be ick. If we're talking about this up here on the fin, looks like a fungus. I treated for 2 weeks with Ick-X with no improvement. I was out of town for a week, so they had no treatment. I did leave Ick-X and salt in the tank before I left. The spots did spread a little bit, but not much. Could it be something other than ick? 6 of them live in a 75-gallon tank. My nitrates had gotten to 80 parts per million. I'm sure that's what caused it. My water is naturally hard, a GH of 120 to 180, a KH of 40, pH 7.5 to 8, ammonia, nitrite 0. I've had pothos plant and a few sword plants. So far, the goldfish haven't eaten those plants. They should address the nitrates along with 5 to 7 day water changes. The filtration is this, huge hang on the back, and a large sponge. Neither their activity level nor their appetite has been affected. The fish are not new to me. I've grown them out for 9 months from just sellable at the local fish store size. Thank you very much. We have some good comments on here. Oops. Hold on. Load more comments. There we go. So they're not flashing or scratching or anything like that. You know, I think honestly it looks like you might have a fungus or something like that going on. But realistically, what I would do is just at this point, I would probably treat with the Med Trio. You know, I would probably just go with all 3 because you already tried Ick-X and that kind of stuff. You've already added, you know, you've already medicated the tank. So that could be what's going on. I would just go with the Med Trio and go that route and see what you can do. But I will say this, that like 6 goldfish in a tank, a 75-gallon aquarium is going to be pretty heavy stock. That is a lot of fish. That is a lot of fish for that tank. So the filtration on this could easily get overwhelmed, and you could be really stressing out these fish pretty readily. Now, I'm not talking down to anybody. I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time, but you know, in stocking numbers, right? Like if you were to say I had a 75-gallon tank, how many goldfish could I put in it? I would say 1 to 2. Personally, that would be my response. Goldfish need a lot more water than people necessarily recognize, especially like especially because they in the U.S. we have ready access to a lot of goldfish, and oftentimes they end up in a small tank. But you know, they do need a lot of water volume because they are pretty dirty fish. You know, they're pretty messy fish. They have a lot of waste, and that's the route that I would go, is possibly increasing their water volume, or just making sure there's a way to really step up the water changes with this many fish. You can have that many fish in that tank. You just you gotta be the owner of them and make sure that you're really upping the game on water changes and stuff like that, so that you know that you're really having solid water quality for them and everything. But your hardness and everything sounds fine, and shouldn't be that big of a deal. Mr. Fax Machine's wondering, how do you like to dose the med trio, all at once or follow the directions? I always follow the directions on any medicine. That's the easiest way to do it. You know, trying to just remember what a dosage is or something like that is not a great idea. So always check the packaging and just make sure you're following the make sure you just follow the package, go that route. And I dose all three at the same time in conjunction, but, you know, follow the directions on the package and make sure that you're doing everything correctly. It is a medication, so be very careful and be careful to follow the directions and make sure that you do, because you can actually accidentally make mistakes, and can totally happen. Got another post from Alyssa Bentley here talking about gladiator racks for her fish tanks. She's getting ready to move, and she's wondering about the gladiator racks. I'm thinking of upgrading my cinder block and 2x4 method of storing my 75-gallon acrylic tanks for when I move to my new place next month. I've heard of people using gladiator shelves to stack 2 75-gallon tanks on top of each other. Claims it can hold 1,000 pounds per shelf and 5,000 pounds per 5-shelf unit. I'm going to be honest with you. The gladiator racks, Cory uses, I think, like 30 of them or something like that at the Aquarium Coop. He's got tanks all over them. We installed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We put 16 tanks? I think we put 16 tanks on them, a bunch of those racks and stuff. That doesn't look like the exact correct rack, though, that people are talking about. This looks like the dialed down one. Like, this looks like the weaker version of the gladiator racks that everybody's talking about. The legs look different. You know, so this might be the wrong one, and you know, so I don't know. I can't say that I've personally had anything to do with these specific ones. I have done stuff with the gladiator racks, but they're the other ones, the more heavy duty ones. So if you can find the more heavy duty ones, that's the ones that I would go for. Jason had a great comment here to not really worry about it and just give it a try. Which I enjoy. That's always good times. But yeah, Alyssa was like, well, my tanks are more expensive than just giving it a try. So yeah, I understand. We also got a post here from Grassy Peak saying, checking in with big news. Last night I walked into my living room and sat down in front of my 75-gallon reef. After a moment, I noticed something small move down by one of the entrances to my engineer Gobi's subterranean lair. Babies! I've wanted to breed engineer Gobies since I read a German article on breeding them 20 years ago. That is exciting. Of course, I've been crazy busy since last night and didn't have time to post a picture. I'm on the train now, and Patreon won't let me post a picture on my cell. I think somebody posted down here. Oh, maybe they didn't. But, yeah, if you're trying to post pictures, it's easy to do from your computer. You can do it from your cell phone, but you just have to go to your desktop, right, app. You go to the desktop like Google, and then you can go in and go to the desktop version, and you'll be able to post pictures. Luke Locken posted this. I was trying to figure out where there's Grassy Peak's post. The engineer Gobi family, 3 days in now and still swimming. I don't know what they are eating, but so far so good. This is awesome. Gobies are probably one of my favorite fish. Saltwater, freshwater. Oh, I'm pretty excited to see those babies. That's awesome. I wish I was breeding engineer gobies right now. Feeling something coming on. Feeling something coming on, like I might need to get myself a goby someday. Again. Johan sends us the fish of the week. This is the clown knife fish, and I'm not even going to try to say Chitala ornata. I hope I got that right. Man, some people freak out when I say Latin wrong. The clown knifefish or clown featherback is a large fish with an unusual body shape. The fish is kept in home aquaria due to its uncommon appearance. In the wild, clown knifefish inhabits large rivers located in south and southeast of Asia, Thailand, India, and Burma. Burma shave, right? The fish was introduced into other countries, including the USA, Florida. This fish inhabits lakes, bogs, backwaters, and large rivers. Young fish species gather into groups and hide among the aquatic plants and snags. The adult fish species are loners. Ooh, what's their adults? They're loners. I didn't know that. Clown featherback is a nocturnal predator. It lies in the dark and waits for its prey in the hide. If clown featherback is hungry, it will prey on any organism that it can swallow. In the wild, the fish length may reach up to 3 feet or 1 meter. However, at tank conditions, it grows smaller, usually only about 20 to 24 inches long. Its lifespan is about 10 years. The large mouth of the clown knife fish has many small teeth. Distinctive feature of the fish is that it can swim in both forward and backward. So minimum tank size, 110 gallons and more. This is a big fish. This is going to be a big fish. This is always going to be a big fish. You need a big tank for this fish. That's why you don't see it all that often. It does take, it's a rare species to see every once in a while in an aquarium. But I will, honestly, if you're trying to start out a YouTube channel, go get yourself like a 500-gallon aquarium. Put one of these in it and grow it up to super big and post videos about it, because I will tell you, that is YouTube gold. That fish right there, YouTube gold. You can post that in the thumbnail and a video of that fish. You will do fine on the internet, my friend. So, little hot tip for y'all, just in case you're like, man, I want to start my YouTube channel. What do I do? Big D Smoke says, I don't end up posting on Patreon a lot because it takes 20 minutes to write out a 4-sentence paragraph. Anyone else have that issue, or is it just me? You know how it is, man. You know how it is. Just write it out. Make a post. It's a great spot. It's a great spot to make a post. And big shout out to Marcus. I'll let you, I'm going to be talking about this filtration stuff on Wednesday. So we're going to talk about that at length on Wednesday, because there's a lots of ins and outs. So it's going to be a big part of our whole topic, whole video. It will be brought to you by Marcus H. And Robert the Butcher just upped his pledge. And I'm telling you, I don't normally shout out the denomination, but all the way up to $50 a month. That's pretty big time, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And thank you. Travis Garcia, brand new to the Patreon. So we do have some brand new ones. And Randall Bowman up in his pledge, too. You can, as I mentioned, you guys can raise it and lower it if you like. If maybe you got something going on and you're at too high of a level and you want to bring it down to $1. Or maybe you're at $1 and you're like, I want to go all the way up to like 50 or some other craziness. Definitely appreciate it. Barbara Jackson just showed up. Hey, Joel, congrats. Can those gladiator racks be reinforced with lumber vertically, screwed through the leg holes into the 2x4s? Yeah, you probably could. You could utilize that, but I feel like if you're going to start building onto those racks, like, you're going to kind of lose out on the whole advantage of just buying the racks and setting them up. Like, you're definitely going to miss out on that, and you're going to be missing the big upside, the big upside of just set up the rack, put the tank on it, and get ready to go. And if you're going to be doing that, I would just build the rack from scratch, because if you're cutting 2x4s, if you're screwing them into the stand and doing all that kind of stuff and shoring it up and cutting plywood and doing all that, like, you pretty much built a stand already. You just got to assemble the stand that you're building, right? So, yeah, I would just keep, I think at that point, I feel like at that point, you might as well just build a stand and it should be fine. So, I'd get the bigger one. I'd just get the bigger, more heavy-duty one. And I don't think that the price point was, like, that much different. If I remember, they were, like, I think the heavy-duty racks were, like, $225 or something like that. So, that's why I build my own, because $1,000 worth of lumber, I could build a lot of stuff. And I know because I did order a bunch of lumber the other day. It was more than $1,000. But I'm gonna be building a bunch of racks out of them, so don't worry about that. Mellywell just had to rehome my remaining 3 bumblebee gobies out of 6. They were so shy, they were outcompeted for food from my pygmy Corys and just stopped eating. Oh, that's a drag. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about bumblebee gobies. I love bumblebee gobies, so I should get some soon. I should do that. I shouldn't wait around. I should just make it happen. All right, guys, I got to go. I've got 20 minutes to get a couple of things done. I got to build... I got to install a shelf and get some... brackets put up and stuff. So I got to get that done before the sitter leaves. And all right, love you guys. Much appreciate everybody showing up today. And I don't mean to kind of ghost on you guys, so I'm gonna give a quick shout to Frank Factor, brand new member. While the show was not on, so thank you, Frank Factor. Just a shout out to you. Rumbust, Zombie Drummer, YAA Crazy, Cindy 425, The Fish Tank Barn, Ginger Graves, Big D Smoke, Rochelle D, Scott Halperin, Ginger Graves again, not only a member but a super chat today. Peppercini 808, Tyler Clinkscales. Thank you very much, you guys. Excuse me, I'm burping. This coffee's a little intense, but I got to get rocking and rolling. Everybody have a good time out there. What happened to my chat? Where did it go? Oh, it's over here. Okay, everybody have fun. It's Monday. I don't know who's next, but somebody else will probably have a stream that you guys can go chat in coming up pretty soon.